Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to our Sunday night live stream. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis. Pleased to be joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton. Got a lot to get into on the show, but of course the show belongs to you. A show of the people, for the people, and by the people. So throw it out there, whatever you guys want to talk about. Questions, comments, we'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, and you can interrupt the show at any time. We'll start, though, before we talk football, with congratulating, even though obviously the mission's not over. It just started for the ladies. Congratulations to the Texas softball team heading to another World Series, and they're going to be taking on, you told me, Jerry, Tennessee in their first matchup in the College World Series. So getting a chance to defend their championship crown. And they did it in dramatic fashion with a no-hitter in that Game 3 against Arizona State. They lost Game 1. We'll get into that a little bit too, and won Game 2 in thrilling fashion. So the ladies definitely know how to win in dramatic fashion, keep the folks entertained.
Yeah, look, softball, it was a crazy weekend. I didn't watch a ton of it. I will say this. Congrats to Mike White and the Texas softball program. 3 years in a row at the World Series, 4 out of 5, nothing to sneeze at. I mean, it's hard. I mean, this is a repeat. This is a chance to repeat as well. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that. There's a lot of ups and downs because as a coach, you know it's going to be hard to be as focused all the time as you were a year ago trying to climb the mountaintop. So congrats. Oklahoma not making it to the Softball World Series in their backyard for the first time since I believe it was 2015 or 2014.
Wow.
Texas is going to take on Tennessee. Carolyn Pickens, who throws 79, 80 miles an hour, record-setting numbers coming out of her right hand, right arm, right shoulder, whatever you want to call it. So Texas, Tennessee, the oranges will burn orange and the Tennessee orange will Tegan Kavan and Pickens. It won't get much better than that. And that'll be Thursday, I believe, in Oklahoma City. And then Texas Tech and Florida. I mean, that was all crazy. Jason White Chocolate Williams out there giving post-game speeches to Texas Tech where his daughter got kind of hit 5 times in the series. She transferred from Florida to Tech. But some of those, she was sticking her left knee out, too. I mean, if we're being real. That was a little Craig Biggio left arm getting plunked a couple times. But still crazy to see Jason White Chocolate Williams out there giving post-game speeches to Texas Tech softball. It was a pretty big weekend for softball around the country, I would say. But Oklahoma not making it for the first time in 11 or 12 years is noteworthy in softball.
No, you're right about that. There's no question. Definitely seems different not having Oklahoma as a part of the postseason there for the College World Series, for the Women's College World Series. Tennessee, as you said, Nebraska, Tech, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Alabama, and UCLA. UCLA and Texas, actually, and John Bianco, shout out to him, we put this out there, the only programs to advance to each of the last 3 Women's College World Series. So both of those programs right now on a hell of a streak right now. Also, shout out to John Bianco. He put this stat out there, too. So we're talking about the women in softball and how well they're doing defending their championship crown. He did throw this out there. Texas is the nation's only FBS program this year, athletic department, with at least 10 wins in football, 25 plus in volleyball, 20 plus in men's and women's basketball, and 40 plus in baseball and softball. So even in the SEC play, I mean, CDC's got this thing rolling. So shout out to all of the sports. Right now, the athletic department is no question one of the best in the country. It has been since CDC really got the momentum going. And he always talks about it, it's a reckoning, right? Texas, if all the BBs are in the box, as Mac Brown used to talk about, and the late great Darrell K. Roy used to talk about, well, it seems like most of the BBs are in the box right now for Texas and most of those sports. So congratulations to women's softball. That's really, really impressive for Coach White and his crew. All right. Before we move from softball, though, I got to hit this because this happened earlier this weekend after Texas lost Game 1 to Arizona State. And by the way, it was a good win by them. But the Big 12's Twitter accounts, their social media accounts, followed up the win with a little shot at Sark. They put out there, Coach Sark needed some help to beat the Sun Devils. No help tonight. Game 1 taken. had a little softball emoji there, and they were retweeting the Sun Devils Twitter account. So Sark took a little shot at Texas Tech. Remember, I told y'all the whole Big 12 took that.
Oh yeah,
into that. So basically, you had Baylor fans, you had K-State fans, Iowa State fans. You had all these different fandoms that felt slighted by Sark because they felt like, oh no, that was actually a shot at the Big 12, which maybe it was too. We still don't even have definitive explanation as if he was talking about Texas Tech, even though we know he was talking about Texas Tech. He left it vague enough that if he wants to wiggle out, he could wiggle out. I doubt he will. But we'll talk more about that. But I like that. I respect the Big 12 for taking the shot. Good for you.
I love it. I love it. Look, man, we got a few weeks left here. Well, 2 weeks until official visits start around the country this week. SEC spring meetings next week, which we're going to talk about. We're going to ask you guys in the chat a question about that. We'll go ahead and ask you all the question. We'll talk about it later. What do you think the first question Steve Sarkisian in his media session will be asked at the SEC spring meetings coming up? Will it be Pete Golding Ole Miss? Will it be Texas Tech Big 12? Will it actually be about one of the players? What do you guys think the first question asked to Steve Sarkisian will be next week? And we'll give our opinions on that a little later, too. That's funny. You know how something's overblown, though? Has Deion Sanders commented on it at all?
I've not heard from Deion about
no.
That's a great
If it was a really big deal, Deion would have jumped in.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that. You're right. Deion usually has something to say about damn near everything. Maybe I'm not. Maybe he's been on the podcast or something recently, but that's a great point. He is one of the unofficial spokesmen of the Big 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deion will be out there. Deion's probably out there. Y'all deal with this little minor stuff. I'm not commenting on this.
Yeah. That's good. I didn't even think about the Deion thing. Now I'm gonna be doing some research, some rabbit holing, and see if I can get a Deion Sanders comment or question about it. That's a good point. Okay, so Jerry, you threw that out there. It's interesting that Arch. Usually, the first question about Texas football in the Arch era has been Arch related. If it's not Arch related, that would really say a lot about the impression that Sark has made on the media this offseason so far, with the comments about Ole Miss, with the the USA Today article, and then the comments about a school in a conference that in the States, Texas Tech. But if they don't, Arch is usually that. I assume it's going to be Arch. I assume it's, especially since Arch didn't participate in spring. Really, he was he wasn't a full participant there. I assume it's going to be about Arch. That if I had to put some money on it, that's where I'd put my money. I'd put it on the Arch question.
It's going to be interesting because the other thing with Ole Miss is Sark and Lane Kiffin stirred it up. So Ole Miss media is probably big mad heading into this week on some level, right? They have not got to ask any questions yet. So I'm going to lean to Ole Miss over Arch barely.
Ooh, okay. You said they're champing at the bit.
Yeah,
they've been waiting. They got a question ready to go, fired up, and then okay, that's good. They may be working in tandem because they've been victimized so much this offseason. That's a good one actually. That is good
because Ole Miss has been taking it from multiple schools and coaches at this point. So they've got
that's true, and they have multiple, like you said, they got multiple slights to address there as well.
It's kind of like LS. It's kind of like Lane Kiffin. Is his first question going to be about Ole Miss or Ed O? It could go either way. I lean to Ole Miss slightly. Same thing.
I lean Ole Miss too. Yeah, even though he's addressed it, the interview was a variety that they had an interview with. I still think it'll be about Ole Miss. Ole Miss has got a chance here. We'll see what Pete Golding does with it. Because they're going to be, but coming off a really good season, and they got one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and it's almost like this happens in rap beefs at times. So I'm not going to compare the Drake. I'm not going Drake, Kendrick Lamar. But oftentimes, small-time rappers or rappers who don't have as much street cred or not as popular, they'll pick a beef with a really popular rapper, like really popular, like one of the best in the world, like a really popular top 5, top 10 rapper. And the whole point is to get that rapper, that elite rapper, to mention him at one point in his songs. Like, mention me, mention you got a beef with me, and then that will give me more street cred, and then that will uplift my profile. My profile will continue to increase, right? And that's kind of what Ole Miss got here. They got Texas, Sark taking a little shot at them. LSU, with obviously their profile is bigger than Ole Miss profile, but with Lane Kiffin coming, now that is like must-watch television this season. Like, that's probably going to be a top 5 game just as a college football fan.
Yeah.
No allegiance. Is just like, I'm a college football fan, and I want to watch college football with the angst and the animosity and the vitriol and the storylines in the background. Well, LSU, Ole Miss, it got all that. It's got all that. So I'm with you on that. Ole Miss, we'll see what because Pete Gold I like his personality. He's one of the dudes that he doesn't shy away from it, and he'll make a comment. He's very open, and he likes to take jokes, and he likes to take shots and make jokes. So we'll see what he does with.
Hey, Mach, now I'll ask you a good question. Who goes with Sark to SEC meetings? John Bianco will be there. Sean Miller will also be there, and Chris Del Conte. I mean, there's a lot of Texas representation in this. Texas basketball SID is not going because he also has men's golf. And men's golf advanced to Carlsbad for the national championships. But so it'll be CDC, it'll be John Bianco, it'll be Sark, and it'll be Sean Miller. That I know of. It may be more than that. Drew Martin could go as well, the assistant AD. I mean, everybody could make this trip. It's a pretty big few days in Sandestin coming up.
Nice. All right. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. All right. I want to, before we'll get into some questions. I know we got a couple of topics I want to ask Jerry about. But before we do that, let's thank our sponsor, our league sponsors. Thank our friends over at Rogue Shop. We appreciate our friends at Rogue Shop, and you will as well. They do a great job. They ship nationwide, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Kind of a more holistic approach. Check them out. Use that discount code on Texas if you're dealing with sleep deprivation or just general aches and pains from battling Father Time. Maybe you're dealing with general anxiety. Fighting those things can be really, really tough on your own. Our friends over at Rogue Shop, they have so many great items, so many great products that can help you battle those ailments and overcome those ailments successfully. So check them out for yourself at rogueshop.com. Also, they ship nationwide, no matter where you are in this great country of ours. Our friends over at Rogue Shop to get their fantastic products to you. So check them out. Don't forget that discount code on Texas, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Thank you very much to our friends at Rogue Shop at rogueshop.com. Let's also thank our friends over at Prize Picks. We appreciate our friends at Prize Picks for sponsoring our Sunday night live stream as well. Now, folks, it's a great time to pick with Prize Picks. It makes everything just that much better, that much more entertaining. Your sports watching
No, I think Rod, we got lost Rod there mid read there. So I'll step in for a second while Rod gets reconnected. And Alan Repshire, I said, Rod gone. I think Rod needs to reconnect here. I'll hit on, while we wait on that, I'll hit on Sean Miller. Y'all have asked about that, Chris. 2000 in Island Rev Share, talking about the Sean Miller interview. I just want to say for Jeff, speaking for Jeff and myself, thanks very much to Sean Miller, Scott McConnell, Basketball SID, for making that happen. And really Coach Miller for taking 40 minutes with us and literally breaking down his entire roster. That's very rare where a coach will sit down and go player by player by player through his whole roster, and really gave you great insight, I think, on what he's thinking about those guys, the recruitment of those guys, some background from his perspective that maybe everybody learned a little something about some Texas players and that roster and how some of that roster came together, and really went into detail on Isaiah Johnson. We're working to get his father, Chris Johnson, on a show, which we're really working on that because I think he's going to have some unbelievable insight on Isaiah. They've gone against Joe Sterling, some things such as that, and working with all the NBA guys he does and kind of bringing Isaiah up in that. So hopefully we make that happen soon. I think Austin Gooseby We may get Austin on a show this week. Some of the basketball players moved in. Austin moved in this weekend. He was at the softball game today. His girlfriend's on the softball team. I think Mikey Lewis moved in this weekend. So some guys will start moving in this week. Same deal as football. They got to be in by May 31st. They report June 1st. Then they go through medicals, and June 8th, the first basketball workout. Also, Bo Ogden up at USA U18 basketball. It started with 32. He made the cut to 19. Some really good players did not make that cut to 19. Some guys that will be drafted one day. Bo Ogden makes the cut to 19. The team will be finalized on Wednesday. What's pretty cool about what they're doing with that USA basketball is it's like Hunger Games. It's like and I'll get to what I mean by that. The guys, or I jokingly said it's like the Bachelor, Bachelorette. The players come to the workout every day with their bags packed. You get cut, you don't go back. They put you on a bus, take you to the plane, and you're gone. So it's really interesting how they're running that USA basketball. I know everybody there absolutely loves it. Absolutely loves it. We're waiting to get Rod connected back, by the way. Football recruiting wise, our Jordan Scruggs was out at the opening up in Frisco today at the Star. You know, the opening's trying to build back up. They're going to have the event up in Portland. It's not as well attended as it used to be by kids. We'll see if they can build that back up in the future. But no big news came out of that from a recruiting standpoint today. So nothing really newsworthy came out of that today. So we will continue to be like, look, John Meredith is still Texas Leans visiting A&M this next weekend. A lot of Texas targets will be making OVs this next weekend. Texas does not start OVs till June 5th through 7th. So we'll be talking more about that on TexasFootball.com. We get you back, Rod?
All right. I think so. How do I might be having some technical difficulties. I apologize about that, guys. How do I sound?
Somebody said there's a UFO over your house.
Still delayed?
Yeah, you're still delayed. You're still delayed. Hey, Matt, let's roll with some questions if we can here. Let's see if we can get Rod. We'll see if we can get Rod. Softball wise, I got a question to ask you guys. If I told you Reese Atwood would not have had a great season at the plate this year, would y'all have said Texas would be in the World Series again? Great player, all-time home run leader at Texas, great career, but kind of slumped a little bit at the plate this year. Didn't maybe have the year that a lot of people expected, and it happens. But my question for the chat is, if I told you that was the season she was going to put together this year compared to past seasons, would you all have had Texas in the softball World Series? Last year she had 21 homers, 89 RBIs, hit 393, right? This year wasn't really close to that. Did her job as an all-around player, but I was just thinking about that at the end of the game today, especially during her last at-bat of her career in Austin there. If I told you she'd hit 337 with 18 and 59 because the expectations were so much higher for her at the plate this year, would you have had Texas in the World Series again? Because when you think about what they lost last year, and then Atwood didn't have that player of the year type season, it's interesting. Stewart, yes. Stewart really goods in a funk too, as NIL rev share say, but that tells you that championship character they have. That's one of the things I thought about was when your best player doesn't necessarily have the season you expected, your best hitter, and you still make it to the World Series, that says great things about your coach. Maybe culture isn't an overused term for this team, because I think you have to have great culture to get there. Oh, she's a great catcher. Don't get me wrong. She's a great catcher. But I'm just saying sometimes your best player doesn't have a great season at the plate. Look at the Dodgers right now. Ohtani's not hitting. None of those guys are hitting right now. It happens. So, but the fact that Texas is back in the World Series, I think says great things for the culture of that program, Coach Mike White, the talent he's accumulated. And if somebody is in a little bit of a slump, people have to pick up that player. And that's when you know you have a really good team again.
Yep. Championship DNA.
You got it.
Got it. All right. Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. I think we got some of it. All right. Some of it kind of cleaned up for you. All right. Let's get back to questions here. Super chat from SEC War Day. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it.
Question.
And I like the handle too, by the way. Evening Gents says, which FBS teams from the BCS era that didn't play for a national championship would make a deep run in today's college football playoff format? 08 Texas, 07 West Virginia, 04 Auburn. Oh, that's good. That's a great question. I think about this all the time with Mac Brown teams. I think about how different Mac's legacy would be if there was a playoff. Because I do think his legacy would have been different. I think he gets to a couple of more national titles, and I think he's able to steal one more, because he had some really good teams. Like the 08 team, to your point, SEC War Day. The 08 team, I haven't met a Longhorn fan yet that will argue that the 09 team was better than the 08 team. That the 08 team was real, and it was. I mean, it was stacked. That team could have rounded into form after that Texas Tech, because that was a lot. Go look at that schedule they had. That was the peak of the Big 12. I could have seen that Texas team, because they were so well rounded, making a run. I think Mac had a couple of those types of teams.
He did.
That would have how that 04 Texas team might have made a run late. Like that 04 Texas team started looking good. Of course, ended up being the 05 team. I played on a couple of teams that I thought 01 and 02, could have won a game. I think that 02 team, because you had those young bucks that were maturing, right? That's Roy Williams is said B. You got guys who are going to be first round picks. They were now kind of more experienced elder statesmen on the team, with the mix of my class, that 99 class, the C. Reg or Sims. Like I said, 01 probably statistically might have been a better defense and year, but I feel like 02 would have been just as good. I think both of those teams could have made runs for Mac. But
yeah, I think that's a great question. I actually have to go back and think about that. I mean, you have to really go back and think on that and say, okay, what about a USC that same year? I mean, that 08, Florida won the national championship. And I know a lot of people out there, Texas won the national championship. I'm not going that far. I mean, look, Florida was freaking good. That team was good now. I mean, their defensive front was tremendous. They had ridiculous talent on that team. Just go look at how many guys got drafted. They're really good. So I'm not going to say, Texas would have won the national championship. That's not really fair to Florida. I think because they were legit. I think Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, USC. I mean, you put those guys in a playoff where they all have to kind of win 2-3 games to get there. I think any of those teams would have had a shot at it. And I think, look, it could come out the same way with Florida's the national champion. But I think you got to throw USC in that year as well. So it would have been interesting. I mean, that's for sure. You think back to I don't know how far back you want to go on some of these, but you actually really have to go back and truly think about it. I think it's a great question, though, SEC Board. I think Auburn in 04 is a good point, because they didn't get to the national championship game. That was USC smoking Oklahoma. 55-19, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Could Auburn have put up a fight? I think USC would have won it still. But I think that USC team was so good that year. I mean, what they did to Oklahoma wasn't even funny. But I think that's a great question. Can you think of anybody else, Rod? Somebody brought up y'all's team that lost to Colorado. If you still would have made a playoff.
Oh, yeah. No, like I said, that's 01 and 02. Those teams, that 01 Texas defense was a legit elite defense statistically. Yeah. I do wonder if, like I said, 02, I think the offense might have been better. I got to go back and look at the stats, just because, like I said, you had a Said B that was now starting to come into his own. That group of receivers was getting older and better. Sims, I think, was a little bit more seasoned and experienced. So 0-2 offensively, I want to say offensively, maybe you might have been better offensively. I got to go back and look at the stats. Defensively, though, I think that 0-1 team, man, defensively that's probably the best defense I've played on statistically.
Right.
Look at that.
Would a Kansas State team, one of Bill Snyder's teams, I don't know if they would have had the
talent,
the type of team that wins 3 games in a row to get to a national championship. That's my issue thinking about some of them. Did Mike Gundy have a team that if he got into the playoffs could have made a little run?
Yeah. Those Big 12 teams would have been interesting. I don't know if they'd have been able to win, because basically you got to beat three kind of top 10 teams, right?
That's right.
To make the next. That's kind of what Miami did. But that Baylor offense in its peak with Art Browse and that Gundy offense in its peak, what was it, around 2000? Was that 14, 13, 14 around there?
Yeah.
They had a couple of teams that they would give you a run for your money because they would score like 30, 40, 50 points potentially.
Yep. And people brought up 98 Kansas State. That probably was Bill Snyder's best team. That was a really good team in 98.
Is that Bishop?
That was that was Ricky Williams' Heisman year, right before y'all signed as the 99 recruiting class. That team, that was a really good team. So I was just trying to think. I have to go back and think about that. I mean, there's a point in time in the late 80s, 90s, which even if you had a playoff, I'm not sure Florida State, Miami, or Florida, they were all so good back then because recruiting was so different back then. I mean, those would have been hard teams to beat. They were just so much more talented than everybody else. For about that 6, 7, 8, 9 year run, all those kids were staying home. Recruiting just changed so much since then. Could a Michael Vick team, even though they lost to FSU in the national championship, did he have another team that could have made a playoff run and puts up some extraordinary performances and gets you to another national championship game? We'll see. It's a good thing that it's a great question though. I'd have to go back and start to look at rankings of some of those teams and really think back. But I know who wouldn't have Texas A&M. All right, keep going.
No, I really do like the question. I think honestly, it might be worth a deep dive. And
Peyton Manning's Tennessee teams, Nebraska. Looked at Nebraska that lost to Texas. I mean, could they have made a run? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a great question.
It is. You probably have to keep it to start in 99, something like that. Keep it in a 20-something year window, but. That's a fantastic topic. I mean, you can go all night on that topic. SEC War Day. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the compelling topic too. That was good. Doug wants to know, Rod, what do you think your NIL would have been, sir? Thanks. I don't know. Listen, to be a starter at Texas, I'm sure there's a certain kind of base amount that a starter's making at Texas now, based on rev share numbers and I don't know if production is related to NIL deals, like that kind of thing, but I'm sure I was a 3-year starter at Texas. So that's it. I was a 3-year starter. I started 2 or 3 games as a freshman, maybe in their nickel package, somewhere around there. So I mean, I would have been. I'm sure I would have got a little bumped up every year, and as a starter. So I don't know what the basic starters are making, but. I mean, I think I'd have been doing pretty good. I mean, what's a basic starter making at Texas? And I was by the time I got to a senior year, I was all Big 12.
Yeah, you'd have done well.
So at all Big 12, I was right. So I think I'd have been all right. I don't know if I've been the highest paid guy on the defense. No, because I played with Derek Johnson. I played with guys like Corey Redding. I played with Nathan Vasher. Who were the guys that would have got paid more than me? There you go. Here you go. Guys that would have paid more than Rob B on the defense that I played with when I was starting. Definitely Derek Johnson. Derek Johnson might have been the highest paid guy on the defense. Y'all want to break this down? Probably been the highest paid guy on the defense.
Right? What year? What year or at any point?
Oh, well, yeah, like okay, let's say 01, 02, like that.
Let's say 02. Let's say the 02 year,
Let's
right?
say 02. Okay. I'm a senior that year. All right. So Derek Johnson, I'll put Nathan Vasher there because Vasher was, I mean, he was so damn good. Still all time. He's tied all time for the career interceptions record. So I'll put him in that. Corey Redding, would have been in that conversation as well. Now he wouldn't have been here yet, but I will say there's a young Huff Daddy on that defense. There's a young, I think it's a young Cedric Griffin starting to come. Now those guys wouldn't have been on my level yet, but I'm saying they would have been. Oh, they'd have been substantially. They'd have been substantially rewarded for their talent on that secondary, just because they were big time recruits. I remember those guys coming in, but I probably would have been the fifth highest paid guy.
Where was it? And I can't remember. I can't remember this. It all runs together for me. Where was Dakari Pearson was really good on that team.
Dakari Pearson was good. He was a freshman All-American. See, I'm not even giving Doc his love.
Oh, so he wouldn't have got.
Yeah, he got slabs.
Yeah. So what about where was I might miss it by year because I am getting. Where was Marcus Tubbs? Was he still on that?
Tubbs
team?
was on that. Tubbs was on that D
line. He was
a
first rounder, right?
Yeah, he was a first rounder. When did Tubbs leave? Like was it an 04 draft? 03? It's one of those drafts. So by then, Tubbs was a star. So Tubbs would have been in the conversation. That's why I said I probably put myself fifth. I definitely would have put 02 would have been C. Red, Derek Johnson, Nathan Vasher. You probably maybe Tubbs is thrown in there, something like that. But then I think your boy's probably right there. I'm probably fourth or fifth.
Somewhere. Yeah, I think that sounds right.
I'm being realistic about it. You know what I mean? Being realistic.
Man, Rod, how fast was y'all's secondary in practices that year? I mean, Dorian McCullough was still in the program that year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So was you Huff, Vasher, McCullough? I mean, obviously Dakari Pearson, freshman All-American, but the secondary guys. I mean, Kendall Browse must have been looking around saying, "What the hell did I get myself into at this one?"
I'm surprised you still remember Kendall Browse in that secondary. Most people forget that. I got to remind them that. I know Kendall Browse was an original member of DBU, man. But no, it was because Cedric Griffin could run too. Like Cedric Griffin, like he could get up and go too. It was a lot of speed in that secondary. Michael Huff was a track guy that was kind of develop his DB skills at the time, but he was actually kind of just a track guy. He was known for just being kind of a speed demon out there. So I believe that's one of the data points in Coach Aquino when he came in, and I think originally when Max was recruiting too, I think they wanted guys who could just run. They wanted speed. Definitely when Coach Aquino came, that became one of the data points. I think they were playing so much man coverage that you needed guys that can run. You know how that goes, Jerry. I need guys that I know aren't going to just get dusted out there playing man coverage on the island. So I think that was one of the main. And now who was the fastest? It was Edoram McCullough. If he was there in the secondary, was the fastest. He was there. Kendrick Turner. Don't forget about Kendrick Turner.
Turner was fast too, man.
I've seen this guy slip and fall and run a 4.4. Like literally slipped on all fours, get up and still ran a 4. But like he was freaky fast. He was in that secondary too. We had some guys. Money Call, you could run a little bit. So I would say honestly, I probably was third fastest when you put those years together, like 02, 01, and 02. Because Quinn Jammer would tell you that he could outrun me. You know what I mean? Quinn Jammer could run a little bit too. He was straight away guy, so they definitely had a lot of speed in that secondary. All right, moving on. How about this? How about this one from Nolo said, I hope this doesn't happen, but if Arch misses at least 3 games this season, have you seen enough to believe Lacey and Bell can steer the ship enough for a playoff run? Let's first of all knock on some wood.
I think it's impossible. I mean, Lacey's the clear 2. I think it's impossible to say that because Lacey you got to see him play on a Saturday a little bit more. I mean, you like what you've seen from him. You really like what you've heard about him. So I'm a big KJ Lacey fan. I'm a big Dia Bell fan. But I still think that's a hard question to answer because neither one of those guys has had – well, Bell's had none and Lacey's had very limited snaps in college football on a Saturday with 100,000 people in the stands. So I think that's a hard one to answer for me, Rod.
Yeah, I agree. Especially for what 3-game stretch we talking about too.
Yeah.
I think that also would be really, really important. But yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately, let me knock on wood again. It has been mostly the exception and not the rule for a quarterback to start and finish every game for Texas. Arch was really close last year, man. He is tough he's a tough mofo. He was really, really close that Mississippi State game, so he didn't start and finish every game. And Matthew Caldwell had to come in, and you can make the argument him and Ryan Niblett won you a game. So you're gonna need the backup. I hope you don't need him for 3 games, but history would suggest that you're going to need that backup to play a critical role at some point. Play, series, game, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. I
think the one thing that would help KJ Lacey is the players around him on offense. He wouldn't feel the pressure of having to go out and win a football game. That is one thing that would help him in a scenario like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, good question there, Nolo. Appreciate that. Peter the Great says, how Texas looking with that 5-star running back?
That is Landon Williams Callis. We'll see. I mean, he's scheduled to come in June 19th through 21st, which is what we had reported for weeks and weeks, and saying we just didn't know when he was going to announce his date. We'll see. Noah Roberts, very good, committed. Sherrod Baker's still scheduled for an OV. We'll see if he actually follows through. He's committed to Tech and makes that OV. Still plan to, but let's see as it gets closer. But Landon Williams Callis, very, very good running back. We'll see where that goes. I think Oregon and A&M may be a little out front, but let's see where it goes. First things first, you got to make it to campus for the OV. And that is the last OV. That will be his 7th official visit, I believe, 6th or 7th. So he'll have gone through the gauntlet on OVs just to get to Texas at the end. So let's see if he makes it all the way through and makes that Texas visit on the 19th through 21st. I think Texas has ground to make up there. Being real.
All right. Thank you, Peter the Great. Appreciate that one. Another one for Jerry here. What would have been Jonathan Gray's before injuries?
Well, I can't recall a high school running back. And he ran the daylight. He played on great teams, right? Coach Buchanan's part of our high school show. I can't recall a high school running back, Rob, that had surgery on both shoulders before they carried a ball in college. I'm not sure he had the ability to run all the way he needed to. You know, that is so rare to have a running back that has both shoulders had surgery on before he played in college football. I mean, he carried the ball so much in high school. So he's a little upright. So when he fell, I think he fell awkwardly on shoulders. And obviously it was something that genetically for him with the shoulders. So it's hard to say because I think people are talking more about the Achilles and the things they saw at Texas, but those 2 shoulders, man, I think really changed his running style. And I'm not sure he was ever going to get to be what he could have been because of that. I'll start there. And I'd love to get Jonathan Grant. We should try to get Jonathan on the show if he'd come on, talk about it.
We should actually. I would love.
He trains guys now.
Oh, does he really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
And was he one of the backs when Texas had Brown and Bergeron? Was that around that time?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that because when he would get hurt, because they had a good group of backs, like and him included. It was a really impressive group. I remember Bergeron, big back that had almost small back skills. It was a great combination of skills with him. And then Malcolm Brown played in the league for I don't know how long. Undrafted.
As an undrafted. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean, played in the league for a minute. There was a special group of running backs. Jonathan Gray, I think he was before the injuries. I think he was a guy that could have had a chance to be special. But I mean, I had shoulder injuries too, and he had injuries after that. But man, the shoulder stuff it does change you as an athlete. Change the way you prepare. Changes your physical strength, your flexibility up top, all that stuff, man. The shoulders it's a pain. All right. Thank you for that question. Appreciate it. How about this one from Paxton, 9-for-1? Over under 11 interceptions on the defense. Over.
Over.
Yeah. Over. I don't know what the number has been the last 2 years, but you've led the SEC in takeaways, I believe, the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I would say over. And Muschamp's defenses do tend to be ball attacking defenses, if that's a great way to put it. Like they're aggressive and in terms of making plays on the football. And after last season, Texas playing a little bit more, playing conservatively a lot in terms of pass coverage and their technique. I think that would probably be one of the points of emphasis that, hey, we're going to be more aggressive. We're going to make more plays on the ball. So I would say over 11 interceptions.
Yep. Yeah, they had 16 last year as a defense.
Yep.
16 last year. And here's the question, Rod, for me, to you. Will this Texas defense have more takeaways this year? And here's why I asked the question. I think Muschamp's going to create more pressures and quarterbacks timing maybe thrown off more. But the flip side is you're playing better quarterbacks. So that's what makes it an interesting discussion for me is, look, I think Rasheed Biles is a ball hawk, a linebacker that is above anything Texas had last year.
I agree with that.
Ryan Smith with a year of experience, what's he going to be like? He's a guy that makes plays on the ball. So you have that piece of it. Jelani had 3 last year.
Jelani's a ball hawk. Yeah.
Muhammad had 2 picks last year. We think Bo Masco won't have at least that number, maybe more. If the spring's any indication, he may have 3 or 4.
Yep, I agree
with
that.
But the question is, what the quarterbacks you're playing are so good on this schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
no, you're right about that.
So good on this schedule.
Yeah.
And you don't play 3 P4s or G5s. Sorry, you don't play 3 G5s.
Yeah. I definitely think you're going to have higher blitz rates, higher stunt rates, higher rates of like aggressive man coverage, if you want to throw it out there. I think with Will Muschamp, you're going to get a more aggressive front, and he's going to PK liked organic pressure.
Right.
Muschamp is going to force the issue. So he's going to do that with blitzes. He's going to do that by sending extra guys. He's going to do that by, I think, a lot of twists and stunts up front. So it should lead to more splash plays and havoc plays like you're talking about. Will that lead to more turnovers? It theoretically, yes. But you already had a lot. Like, it wasn't like Texas wasn't taking the ball away. Like I said, you led the SEC in takeaways the last 2 years. So, man, will they have more total takeaways? The forced fumble thing and fumble recoveries is interesting too.
I think that one may go up.
That one may go up. Exactly. That's the one that may go up, especially if you're blitzing quarterbacks more. Like you said, you're playing really good quarterbacks, but all you need is that 1 or 2 splash plays, and we'll get to this guy coming up later on here momentarily, but a guy like Colin Simmons, I mean, if you can get him to wreak havoc off the edge, I mean, that guy can really force the issue and get some takeaways for you, whether that be rushing quarterbacks in terms of speeding up their clock, whether that be the forced fumbles, he's done that before too, strip sacks, he can do all that stuff. So I'm going to say that you will get more interceptions. I don't know if you'll get more takeaways, period. That's all about, like I said, how the ball bounces is a big part of that. And that's luck. That literally is analytically comes down to fumble recovery luck, how the ball bounces. Hopefully it bounces Texas way. All right, let's get to. We got super chats. Hold up. Oh, here it is. Aloha Traveler jumped in. Hey, what's up, Aloha Traveler? Thank you very much for the super chat. I'm gonna button it up for you too. Make sure we get right here. All right, here we go. Boom. Aloha, fellas. Aloha to you as well. Says, I hope everyone is doing well this holiday weekend. Every year there are a few players that come out of seemingly nowhere to exceed expectations. You had to choose 3 for your picks. I'm going Wesley, Bishop, and Cummings. I like that. Richard Wesley is
I like Richard Wesley a lot on that one.
Yeah.
I don't think Bishop's coming out of nowhere though. I don't think he's coming out of nowhere. I think Richard Wesley would be one. I think one of those freshman linebackers, one of them will. Cummings has a lot of upside. I I mean, what would you count that at? I mean, who else, Rod, would you look at? Would it be that's a hard thing to define. I think each person's definition is a little different on that. Would Zena be coming out of nowhere? Probably not. But he had 2 sacks last year. What if he ended up with 9 this year?
Yeah, no, I got Canu for me is
Got
one of those guys.
draft pick.
I think Kanu is one of those guys, but is he coming out of nowhere? But
No.
I think he's going to take a huge leap. And he only had like 20 pressures last season. I mean, he was sound. He was really consistent. But I think he could be a powerhouse in the middle for you. So that's a guy that could come out. Is he coming out of nowhere?
I'll throw one out to you, Rod. Just because he came from a team that didn't win any games, but we talked about how many snaps he played. What if Ian Jafard suddenly became like a 3rd-round draft pick? That would kind of be coming out of nowhere on this team.
Yeah.
As an over-the-ball player, if he this year made a huge jump and then he's off to the NFL, that'd probably be a guy that came out of nowhere in a sense.
Whoever wins that safety spot, if they end up having a good year, it would be coming out of nowhere.
Yeah. Phil Xavier.
If it's Xavier, Phil Smith, if it's Derek Williams that wins that spot, I mean, that if they have a good year, you're talking about a really, really good year, that would kind of be coming out of nowhere, and somebody's got to take that spot. But I like the Ian Jafar thing because, I mean, he and Kanu may end up being the 2 starting D tackles initially, but we know they rotate 4 or 5 guys. But yeah. I mean, they like Ian Jafar. I was surprised how often they would run twists and stunts with him in the spring practice. I didn't, but he slimmed down. But that's how well he moves. Usually, a guy that big, you ain't gonna be sending them on twists and stunts up front.
That was pretty telling to me, Rod. That was pretty telling to me.
I was rewatching them. I was like, they did it more. They did it a lot, Jerry. I mean, I kind of like 4 or 5 times you had the big man doing a twist or a stunt up there. So I'm with you. I think they're expecting big things out of him. Him next
Brad
to
Spence. Could Brad Spence be one?
That's a great one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be defensive guys under Will Muschamp. I think your answer is going to come on the defensive side of the ball.
Kobe Black could be one of those guys. I mean, I didn't say we counted him out, but there was an assumption that Kobe Black would be battling to try to find his way on the field and maybe even have to look at another position to do so. And turns out he's getting starting reps this spring. So they like what Kobe Black has done. He could be one of those guys. I'm with you, Jerry. I think defense seems to have more of these names coming up than offense.
Yeah, the only one on offense I could really say to put in that category would be a Jordan Coleman. I mean, I think everything else is almost locked in, and I don't put Jermaine Bishop in that category because he already showed what he could do. Like, it would almost be a Jordan Coleman. If Jordan Coleman ended up, like, something crazy happens, he ends up getting reps at left guard and takes the left guards off from older players or something crazy like that. So I would almost have to look on the offensive line for somebody, you know? Yep.
I like that. I like that Brad Spence one too, though. Keep an eye on that one because he can play multiple spots for you. You need something at linebacker, he can get you be a pass rusher off the edge, put him in sub packages. That guy can do a lot. All right, great question. Thank you very much, Aloha Travel. I'm gonna keep it on because Rod Baber's helmet also jumped in here in the chat with a super chat. Thank you very much, Rod Baber's helmet. Says watching highlights. Let's go back to orange jerseys, white pants, tall black socks. Curious if Franklin could get Vitek in the top 25 in his first year. Oh, yeah, I remember that look, man. I remember that look with the black socks. It was clean back in the day. But what about James Franklin? Apparently, he's got a lot of momentum there at Vitek, man. Apparently, people like what he's done with the roster so far.
The schedule would say no. If you look at Virginia Tech's schedule, I mean, their road schedule is actually pretty tough. I mean, we're talking ACC. I mean, at Maryland, pretty tough game for Virginia Tech. At Cal, I think that quarterback is going to, after this season, people are going to be talking about him as a potential number 1 pick in 2028. I think that guy's a stud. I think he's a stud natural passer. You're at Clemson, you're at SMU, you're at Miami. So the schedule isn't friendly to be a top 25 team, But the one thing I would say about Virginia Tech, and I've kind of been on this on the not necessarily James Franklin bandwagon, but the Franklin at Virginia Tech wagon a little bit, is because Penn State messed around with that coaching hire for so long. They ended up with a tremendous coach for them. James Franklin's got 30 players, whether that was guys at Penn State or signees at Penn State, that are in the Virginia Tech program. It may be closer to 35 or 40. He essentially has a third of a solid, talented Big Ten program at Virginia Tech with whatever they have coming back. So from a talent perspective, I think he's immediately going to become like number 3 or 4 in the ACC in talent. So what does that quarterback position look like for him? What does it all look like on the field? But I'll tell you, talent-wise, because of how that Penn State coaching search played out, he brought in 30-plus players that would have been at Penn State if he wasn't fired. Over a third of their roster is in Blacksburg. What would have been their roster this year? He's got a lot of talent over there. He's starting from a good spot, but that schedule is not favorable.
Yeah. No, good stuff there. No, I've heard folks really do like the roster right now that he's done. So we'll see if he can coach him up. All right, thank you for that super chat there, Rod Babers Helmet. Let's thank our sponsors before we end tonight's live stream. Got a couple other questions and topics before we do, but let's thank our friends over at Von Lane first. Thank you very much to our friends over at Von Lane. Folks, Von Lane is a great service if you are traveling to any of the major Texas cities, or you're traveling those shorter routes just in the region. Maybe you're flying or you're driving yourself. Either way, that can be really stressful. If you're flying, you got to deal with the potential delayed flights, and you deal with the airport chaos and the stress, and TSA and the security lines. You don't want to have to deal with that. Our friends over at Von Lane, they make it so easy for you. Also, if you're driving yourself, that also can be stressful, dealing with traffic and road rage. You don't have to worry about that. Our friends over at Von Lane offer a first-class travel experience on the ground. You board in minutes at a private hotel terminal. You get free Wi-Fi. By the way, that Wi-Fi has been upgraded with Starlink, so now it's faster and more reliable. But you get a cold drink, of course. They have hot towel service as well. You get that first-class leather seat. It's really comfortable. You can sit back and relax. You can take a nap if you want to, or you can get a lot of work done. Our friends over at Von Lane, they make it easy for you. Check them out at vonlane.com. That's VONLANE.com. They serve Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands as well, Atlanta, Memphis, Nashville. They keep adding more and more stops to the list. Enter the code OTF26 at checkout, and you'll get $20 off your first ride with our friends over at Von Lane. That's Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. Lower friends at Von Lane. I've taken this, the Von Lane several times, Houston and to DFW, Dallas. I've taken this to visit family. I've taken it on business trips. I love it. I would highly recommend it as well. Also, let's thank our friends at Rogue Shop real quick before we get out of here too. RogueShop.com. That's where you check them out. Use that discount code. You see it right there on your screen, on Texas, to get a very special discount from our friends over at Rogue Shop, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. They have it all from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins. No matter what you're dealing with, maybe it's sleep deprivation, maybe it's just aches and pains from battling Father Time or from your playing days, maybe it's just general anxiety. Our friends at Rogue Shop have so many great products to help you battle and overcome those ailments successfully. So reach out today, RogueShop.com. They ship nationwide. Use that discount code on Texas, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. All right. Thank you very much to our sponsors. We appreciate them. All right, Jerry, one question I want to bring up for you. That was a CBS Sports article that came out earlier this weekend. It came out earlier today, actually. And they were predicting national award winners across the country. And one Longhorn actually have winning 2 awards. So I want to ask you about this. They actually have Colin Simmons winning the Bednarik as the top defender and the Nagurski. So my question is simple in the live stream tonight. Is Colin Simmons the best defender in college football?
I think he may be, honestly. And I think he's going to have a tremendous junior season. I think Will Muschamp is coming at the perfect time for him as he takes that next step. And look, Brandon Tucker is the line trainer. who's been on the show a couple times. Hank and CJ interviewed him last week. You can look in the archives here on Texas Football YouTube and get his thoughts. He couldn't be higher on Colin Simmons this year, and he's trained him since he was, I think, a sophomore in high school. So he's been with him now 5 years, maybe freshman year in high school. I don't think Dylan Stewart's going to be on the team to challenge Colin for those national awards necessarily. Is somebody going to come out of nowhere and just have an amazing season? That will be interesting to see. But I think if you're saying, Jerry, what do you really think? I think Colin Simmons is going to be the best defensive player in college football this year. I do come out there. I could be wrong, but that's where I'm coming out right now.
Yeah. The only defender I like in college football right now, as much as I like Colin Simmons, is probably Leonard Moore. But he won't be able to challenge Colin Simmons because he won't be as impactful because teams will probably just stay away from him. You can do that with a corner. You can just kind of stay away from that guy, build a game plan away from him. It's hard to do that with a Colin Simmons, especially with the way Muschamp is going to deploy him. So I'm with you. I think right now he looks like, he's the real deal. He could be the best defender in college football. Can't wait to see what he's added to his game as an elite defender. All right. Good stuff, Jerry. As always, appreciate the expertise. Thank you to all you guys out there for the super chats. Thank you, Aloha Traveler. Great seeing you again. Appreciate you in the chat. Thank you, Rod Babers Helmet, for that super chat. Really appreciate that one. Thank you, SEC War Daddy. That was a great question early to start out the show. And thank you guys all for the participation and the questions. If we missed any of them, we apologize about that. We try to get to as many of them as we can, but you can direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning. That'll be Jerry Hamilton and Bobby Burton. And also tomorrow we'll have your Monday night live stream. We'll have the Winning Drive, the primetime edition. That'll be myself, Coach Bob Shipley, and CJ Vogel there on that live stream promptly at 7 p.m. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He's the real MVP. Nobody does it better than Matthew. Thanks to each and every one of you out there for watching and for listening. For Jerry and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis. Until next time, hook 'em.